The Cartober fundraising drive is on. Help give back this month by donating your used car, truck, RV, or boat to KPBS. Donating is easy and it's tax deductible. Learn more by visiting us at kpbs.org/car.
This episode includes mentions of sexual assault and violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, Julio Ortiz here, producer for Port of Entry. We have a bonus episode today, a special Halloween edition. With me are the host of the show, Alan, the Chupacabras of La Chapu Lilienthal.
All right. Hello.
And in front of me, Natalie, La Llorona of the Cacho.
Okay, who picked my nickname?
That was me. And on the board is technical producer and sound designer, Adrian, the Abomination of Chula Vista Villalobos.
¿Qué onda?
I don't think anyone approved these nicknames.
Yeah.
These were approved by myself.
All right.
Keep going.
Okay, we are adopting a more relaxed format today. I will share a tragic, creepy, or scary story from the folklore of Tijuana, and we'll just jump in and comment and react on what's been said and read. Our story this time, the enigmatic case of Juan Soldado, the unofficial patron saint of migrants crossing the border.
Ooh.
A character who some say is a martyr, some say he's a rapist murderer, others call him a saint. According to local folklore, his spirit still roams around the old graveyard in downtown Tijuana, where some believe they've heard him plead for his innocence. Guys, what do you think?
I actually ended up at that graveyard by complete accident one time, and that's how I learned about Juan Soldado. I was eating with a friend close by, and we decided to take a stroll through the cemetery on a nice Sunday. Obviously, his site is very... It draws the eye. It's not like other grave sites.
Yeah.
And
Natalie, have you heard of this story before?
Not really. I mean, I know who Juan Soldado is, but I just knew that he was like a famous soldier, and that's it.
Okay.
No idea.
So we will go in and take a deep dive into the story. But before that, let's give the audience a brief summary of who Juan Soldado is. If you can do me the honors of just giving this brief summary.
Absolutely. So Juan Castillo Morales, a.k.a. Juan Soldado, Juan the Soldier, was accused and convicted of the rape and murder of 8-year-old Olga Camacho Martinez in 1938 Tijuana while he was stationed there as a private in the Mexican military. He was tried by the military officials and later executed after being found guilty by his superiors.
And this is a quote-unquote found guilty, as you will see later in the story.
A lot of questions.
So we will talk about the folklore, the person, the social and historical context of what happened and the significance of the story. To help us understand fact from fiction, I enlisted the help of Fernando Escobedo, a researcher and historian of Tijuana who has dedicated his career to studying the history behind Tijuana's folklore. But first, the opening credits. Chicos, please help me.
From KPBS, this is Port of Entry.
Where we tell cross-border stories that connect us.
I'm Alan Lilienthal.
And I'm Natalie Gonzalez.
Before we continue, a short break.
KPBS On Demand is supported by the National Conflict Resolution Center. Geopolitics, a divisive election year, and strained budgets are all topics that can create tension in the workplace. NCRC can help workplace leaders navigate polarizing issues with the Culture, Communication, and Conflict Certificate. More at ncrconline.com.
Folks, welcome back to our Halloween special, where we will dive into one of Tijuana's most famous legends and try to demystify the story of Juan Castillo Morales, a.k.a. Juan Soldado. Well, this is a story shrouded in mystery, tragedy, and historical and political intrigue. And the tale has more to say about the city, the times, and human nature than about the legend itself. It's a tragic story, by all accounts, though. So to understand who Juan Soldado was and what he was accused and later executed for, if, that is, he really committed the horrible crime, we have to dive deep into some of the sources. First, I will retell the crime, the basics, the who, what, where, and why, as recounted by Researchers Gabriel Rivera and José Saldaña in their paper Religiosidad Popular en Tijuana, El Culto de Juan Soldado, and how the folklore later arose. Second, we will touch on the findings of the late Paul J. Vanderwood's seminal work, Juan Soldado, Rapist, Murder, Martyr, Saint. Lastly, we will hear from Fernando Escobedo, the Tijuana historian we've invited, about his recent findings in the case of Juan Castillo Morales. Insights that may shed light on the nature of the crime and who actually might have been involved. And at the end, I will give you my hot take. So, Adrian, please, scary beat. So, let's go into the facts and the folklore, and then we will do it taking turns reading, or as teachers would say, popcorn style. Okay? Muy bien. So what exactly happened? Here's the short translated summary of Gabriel Rivera's and José Saldaña's paper. Alan, could you please take it away?
Juan Castillo Morales, known as Juan Soldado, a private in the Mexican army stationed in Tijuana, was accused of the rape and murder of 8-year-old Olga Camacho Martinez. Some testimonies described Olga as home-oriented and deeply religious, attending church the Sunday before her disappearance. Olga was the daughter of Aurelio and Feliciana Camacho. Aurelio and his family owned red-light establishments on Avenida Revolucion, including cabarets and brothels, one of which was the Molino Rojo, Tijuana's version of the Moulin Rouge. He was also a leader in the Bartenders Union and active in local labor organizing. Along with his father, Aurelio was part of a brothel network stretching across the Sonora Baja Circuit, which also included whiskey smuggling into the U.S. They were prominent figures, to say the least, in the region's social and economic scene. Aurelio owned establishments on Avenida Revolucion and was a leader in the Bartenders Union, active in local labor organizing. The Camachos lived on Calle Segunda between F and G streets, a house down from the military barracks. Olga's mother recounted sending her to buy meat at Mendivel's Butchery, a nearby shop, during a light, rainy day. And that was the last time she was seen alive. On February 13th of 1938, little Olga's body was found in an empty lot used as a garage behind the military barracks, showing signs of sexual violence and stabbing injuries to her neck and body. The investigation in the city ensued. Given the proximity of Tijuana to the U.S., the American consulate in Tijuana requested the assistance of the early formed FBI. Forensic agents came to help investigate. Some of the material evidence was blood-stained clothing and reddish hairs found on the victim.
And guys, keep a note of that right there. Reddish hairs found on the victim. It will be relevant later in the story.
Key details included a bloody thumbprint on a package of meat Olga had carried and a boot heel print near the crime scene. The autopsy confirmed strangulation, a sharp blow to the head, and a stab wound to the neck 5 inches long as causes of death, along with evidence of sexual assault. But one particular testimony ultimately shaped the public perception of Juan Castillo Morales as the main culprit. Juan Soldado's wife was questioned. She said that Juan had come into the house completely covered in blood, drunk, with a lost look on his face, asking for help to take his clothes off. This was confirmed by the FBI forensic experts from San Diego that assisted in analyzing fingerprints, footprints, and other materials that ultimately linked Castillo to the crime. With all this information, the local authorities formally accused Juan Castillo as the main suspect. He was taken by order of General Contreras, the military chief of Tijuana. The aftermath of the murder saw violent protests, including attempts to lynch him and burning of public buildings. On February 17, 1938, Juan Castillo Morales, aka Juan Soldado, was executed by firing squad under the Ley de Fugas, a practice allowing prisoners a chance to escape, which often ended in their death. So they could just shoot at him and he could just try to run away.
If he ran away and survived, he was, quote unquote, not guilty, I guess.
What a wild...
Wow.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
That's a wild way to go down.
I mean, it's if you watch Game of Thrones, it's trial by combat. If you won,
Good
then
duel.
you were innocent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
duel.
Anyways, please conclude.
All right. The execution, witnessed by a very large crowd, was marked by his pleas to speak to his general as he gave the order for the execution.
Thank you, Alan. So those are some of the facts surrounding the death of Olga and the execution of Juan Castillo Morales, a.k.a. Juan Soldado. So now let's step into the folklore around Juan Castillo Morales and how he turned into Juan Soldado. And friends, take it with a grain of salt. These reports are basically hearsay. We don't know the veracity of these accounts, so they're just myths. Mm-hmm. Natalie, can you please help me with the next part?
Yes.
I thought you'd never ask.
Juan Castillo Morales, though executed for the rape and murder of a young girl, was believed to be innocent and scapegoated by his military superiors. Because of the lack of due process and transparency, his perceived innocence prompted him to become a folk saint after his death. His gravesite became associated with supernatural occurrences, including reports of blood seeping from the grave and ghostly voices. Devotees began leaving stones, plaques, and prayers at his tomb, attributing miracles to his intercession. Among Juan Soldado's miracles is helping migrants in crossing the U.S. border safely, as well as assisting people with health and family problems. This folk saint veneration has never been officially recognized by the church. To this day, Juan Soldado symbolizes the common people, the fight for justice, protection from persecution, and hope for divine intervention in their search for a better life.
Chicos, thoughts, commentary? Do any of you know any people who might have had a sighting or heard of any miracle?
Ever? Never in my entire life. In my 31 years living in Tijuana, I have never heard.
I'm gonna start praying for if you guys if I become very rich in the next week, I'm gonna thank Juan Soldado.
Why would you become rich in the next week?
I'm gonna start praying to Juan Soldado tonight.
Okay, so so apparently he was the patron. He's the patron saint of migrants because of people who apparently feel persecuted or trying to do a difficult manda. So that's why then by happenstance. That happened. He just became associated because he was in Tijuana, so they prayed to him. But anyways, in preparing for this episode, I also consulted bits of Paul J. Underwood's book, Juan Soldado, Martyr, Rapist, Murderer, Saint. And I looked up the basis of his arguments and findings. So basically, Vanderwood frames his trial and execution as a deliberate exercise of state power during a period of economic hardship and social unrest in Tijuana. Like Saldaña and Rivera, Vanderwood describes how the Mexican government under President Cárdenas sought to assert authority and control in a chaotic border city after the outlawing of gambling by his part. And if you know anything of Tijuana during that time, gambling was a big part of the economic engine. The town was marked by labor struggles, political tension, and Depression-era economic decline. As the drifting of the dry laws in the states took place, you had less Americans coming to Tijuana to drink booze because they could do it, again, back home. According to Vanderwood, the highly publicized case of Juan Castillo Morales was used to reinforce law and order amid fears of rising violence and disorder. Fernando Escobedo, who you will hear later, shared some of the pictures during our visit to his office of the riots that broke in the aftermath of little Olga's brutal rape and murder. Vanderwood ties the popular veneration of Juan Soldado after his execution to the distrust and contempt of the locals to the official institutions at that time. So that's when, according to Vanderwood, the figure of Juan Soldado became a folk saint who embodied tensions between marginalized social groups and the state. Serving as a symbol of protection for the disenfranchised, oh my God, I can't.
Disenfranchised.
Thank you, Alan. Of migrants in the borderlands. Like many legends, facts are intertwined with myth, and to help us tell each other apart, we enlisted the help of Fernando Escobedo, a Tijuana historian and researcher who would later share some outstanding findings that contextualize the story event even further. But first, we actually did some exploring in Juan Soldado's gravesite. Me and Alan, of course, because Natalie was a little bit scared to visit there.
Yeah.
Why were you scared, Nat?
I don't like to go to cemeteries.
Okay, why is that? Scared?
Because there's dead people
There's
beneath the
ground.
There's dead people
ground.
everywhere, even if they're not really cemeteries.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
Or even they're alive.
I don't like cemeteries. No, but last time I was in a cemetery, I got like an allergy. I don't know why, but I get allergies when I go to cemeteries.
I'm allergic to death.
Probably.
Muy bien. So the cemetery is called Puerta Blanca, which is one of the oldest, but not the oldest, but technically the first official cemetery in the city. But Fernando then will clarify that was not the case. There were other cemeteries. So that was kind of the third one. So we were there, right, Alan?
Yeah, it was quite interesting.
And with that said, why don't we roll the clip in which we were there with Fernando, where you, Alan, describe the gravesite, the shrine of Juan Soldado. So Adrian, please roll the clip. Fernando, estás, brother?
Aquí a gusto tomándome mi cafecito.
Ah, qué bueno, brother.
Pero estoy bien acompañado, no te preocupes.
¿Qué onda, Fernando? Alan,
Fernando.
mucho gusto.
¿Qué tal?
Sí, ok.
Pues creo que es la más... Oh, in English.
Yeah. So what are we saying now?
Seems like it's like doesn't... I've never seen a tomb like this. It's almost like a little museum or a... There's a lot of ornaments, a lot of decorations. There's little statues of Juan Soldado, a few of them actually on top of this kind of little brick house. There's a lot of plaques on the walls that Fernando mentioned that people come and kind of like DIY. They just put them up themselves, thanking Juan for their miracle. A lot of miracles apparently that Juan has done. What year como empezaron los milagros?
Well, in 1938, in November 1st, 1938, some people here in Tijuana, the women primarily, came to the cemetery to give their sus ofrendas for their deaths, their death in their family, their deceased in their family. So they started hearing the voices, some voices of the innocent. They say the innocent soldier that was killed here in Tijuana that same year in February. Okay, in the February 17. So they started hearing these voices in the cemetery, exactly at the Day of the Dead, the All Saints Day in 1938. Okay, so that's the year that all of this started. All of this.
The origin is very kind of supernatural. Like we don't really have
it's very
a
supernatural.
logical understanding of it.
Well,
it's like people start hearing voices.
Not that, yeah. Behind the hearing voices are the angst of a mob or the angst of a society of the people living here in Tijuana. So they transformed their angst of knowing maybe something or knowing some other origin stories of this and try to explain it by this, using this. This is very common here in Mexico, in all of Mexico, trying to explain something with something supernatural.
Sí, sí, sí.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very Mexico thing.
Yeah, very Mexican thing, and very indigenous thing.
The mystical connection.
Mystical connection, yeah, with nature.
Sorry, no. Then when did Juan Soldado became the patron saint of migrants?
I think that the first newspaper notes or newspaper publications that I saw about this was in the 1960s. The migrants that came to Tijuana and started worshiping or praying to this innocent soldier that was killed for something he did not do. Okay, so I started seeing the newspaper notes in the 60s, but I think they were from far behind, earlier, maybe since the 40s, or the people, the Tijuanenses started doing that in the city since 1938. But the migrants, I think, were trying to replicate what the Tijuanenses were doing when they came here. Because almost all of the Tijuanenses, when a migrant comes in those years, they open their doors. Very welcome, yeah. And they gave work and they to them, okay? So they feel very, very welcome here in Tijuana.
So it was almost like adopting the customs.
Yes, I think this is that's the origin of that connection. The migrants and the locals.
Got it. See, I've never seen a tomb like this. It seems like it's still very, actively visited. There's like very fresh.
Oh yeah.
There's like this outdoor area with like brick arcs, and then inside it's probably like like 10 feet by 10 feet, and there's a lot of fresh bouquets of flowers. It seems like people come quite often to drop off flowers and ask for their own miracle. It seems like a lot of people ask for healing. Mm-hmm. The walls are plastered with messages of thanking Juan for healing different illnesses.
You can kneel and pray inside the tomb and outside, and sometimes you can find people with Mexican Sinaloense band
playing music.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Here.
Yeah, there's a lot of statues of Juan Soldado too.
And
there's
very strange people sometimes.
So,
you don't want to come close because maybe there are
of illegitimate profession.
Yeah, there's a lot of messages, a lot of statues of Juan, and it seems very well kept. There's a little rug outside. It really is like a little house.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, a shrine. There's a lot of actually candles that are still lit inside, which means they must have been turned on very recently.
Yeah. And so, Fernando, what is the significance of Juan Soldado in the folklore of the Tijuanense? Because what I've been reading is that he turned into a patron saint of migrants.
Well, you can find the stamps in almost all the popular los mercados. The stamps is like any other saint here in Mexico. Juan Soldado has a stamp. You can buy them for I think 10 pesos or something like that. And the stamp has a praying in the back. So someone wrote that praying, and it started like a story.
Do you know of anybody personally who has been? Have you been able to interview anybody who's been benefited from from a miracle or?
No, not really, because many of the people that come here are migrants that they already crossed the border, so they came back, and they are grateful because they could cross the border.
So for like a safe passage.
Yeah, like a safe passage, and everything went well. They came back and did this. I haven't heard of any people from here, from Tijuana, that came here and put some of this as the plaques, stone plaque in the tomb of Juan Soldado.
Okay. These are all pretty much from the late 90s, 2023 right there.
Mm-hmm.
Most recent. We got from very lavish plaques to a wooden plaque. Very humble. So.
88 here.
Thank you, Adrian. Alan, lasting impressions of the gravesite?
Well, it's amazing how many people still, it's not a thing of the past. Like there was fresh flowers and candles that were clearly just very recently lit, and the walls are covered with people asking for their miracles. So it seems like, I think it's a very human thing. People always just want something to believe in.
Claro.
But the Juan Soldado does surprise me because it's such a random story. Like you never hear those descriptive words together, like rapist, murderer, saint. You know what I mean? Like martyr. Like those words, you never see them together. So it's kind of like Tijuana, like this guy's story. It's like he captures so many different parts of human experience.
Nat, any questions for Alan and me about the gravesite?
Are you curious enough to go see it?
No, not really.
You don't want a miracle of your own?
We don't know for sure if he did it or not, and I just don't want to go and pray for someone that could be a murderer.
That's a good point.
So
that's probably the person that most needs prayer, don't you think? Like to be healed and to be
I rather pray for people that are still here.
That makes a lot of sense. But after you hear the hot take I have, you might change a little bit of your mind, Ali.
Oh, yeah?
Because...
That's your hot take?
Well, you will hear. But first, let's go into what Fernando had to share that would let me to the hot take. Folks, here's our interview with Fernando Escobedo. And something happens that people you mentioned in when we were at the graveside of Juan Castillo Morales, that the women back in the day during All Saints Day, November 1st, start hearing voices. Can you tell us a little more?
Yes, the same year that the killing happened, but a couple of months after that, the 1st of November, All Saints Day, the people, by tradition, go to the cemetery, okay, and bring ¿cómo se dice? Ofrendas, offerings, yeah, to the dead. So they started hearing a voice like a supernatural experience of the soldier that was killed wrongly accused of being the killer of Olga Camacho. And I think that was like a way of explaining a lot of the knowledge, the real knowledge of the people that lived those difficult moments. Okay, it wasn't just a supernatural experience, but a way of explaining what really happened through an alternate historical or an alternate discourse or speech.
So the timeline. So there was this death, this crime. Olga was killed, this little kid. Then there's an accused, Juan
Castillo Morales.
He's executed, and then people started saying that he was innocent. Why did that begin? Like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it. Why did people start saying that he was innocent?
Because in the little community of Tijuana, 19,000 people, many people started asking questions, okay, by their own, and they started finding out some other explanations of what happened. They found out, and they started saying that they were the killers were other people. And there's a version of the story that says that the nephew, one of the nephews of the chief of the 2nd Military Zone, was involved. So, like many times, this happens in the history of Mexico.
Juan Castillo
Morales
was the fall guy.
Yeah.
He was the fall guy.
Chivo expiatorio, we call it the chivo expiatorio. But
the scapegoat.
Yeah, the scapegoat. But through the knowledge of other people that I have met, like Fausto Matus, a very old Tijuanense, that his father was at that moment exactly. He was a military soldier from the military zone here in Tijuana in 1938, 37, 38. So his father explained to him what he saw, because through the explanation of Fausto, I started understanding it from another perspective. He says that there were others involved, that not only Juan Castillo Morales, that there was a couple of people, different people involved in the rape.
So it was a collective crime.
A collective rape, a collective killing. That's what he explains through the knowledge of his father, that was a soldier in 1938. And he says that his father was at that precise moment and he saw everything.
Okay.
The other thing is that his father was from the same town in Oaxaca that Juan Castillo Morales was from.
Before we go into your findings, Fernando, let's go into just wrap up the folklore and the legend of So a lot of people believe he's innocent, believe he's a martyr, and that's why there's a lot of folklore around it, right? So tell us just a little about.
We have newspapers from the 1950s, for example, the periódico Noticias from 1957 did a report about Juan Castillo Morales, about Juan Soldado, about the grave in the cemetery, and we have the picture right here in front of us, and we can see that the shrine was already built. So what you can find right now, we visited in the morning.
This morning, yeah.
This morning, it was already built, and we can see the plaques. The migrants started establishing over there in the shrine with agradecimientos.
So like a thank you.
Like thank you notes to the saint or the martyr or this guy Juan Castillo Morales, Juan Soldado. That they started praying for him, to him. They started praying to him because they believed he was innocent and that he was like milagroso. He was
miraculous.
Miraculous. Yeah, because all of these migrants wanted to go to the U.S., for example, and when they prayed for Juan Soldado to get over the
help them
border, to help them jump the border to get over there in the U.S. They did it. They just.
So they would go to the shrine and pray and ask.
And they came back.
And they will come back.
They will come back to Tijuana and establish these plaques all over the shrine. See, the altar of Juan Soldado, because there's an altar in the inside of the shrine.
Yeah, folks, if you go into our social media of the reel that Natalie put together for this episode, you will see some of those plaques. Basically, those plaques, some of them date back to like 1950s, 1960s, 1970s. And so, there's quite a few. It's a little bit different than the pictures you're showing us now. As you will see in the social
from the
media.
beginning, it's the first building that was established in the cemetery.
Right, so he became a patron saint of migrants and of persecuted, of those basically accused of unjust causes, basically.
Yes.
In some parts of the story.
Yes.
But now, that's one side of the story. There's another side of the family of the girl.
Yeah.
What was going on with the family?
Well, the father, Aurelio Camacho Leon, was a member of the syndicate, the local syndicate of bar workers, hotel workers, restaurant workers. Okay, he was a bartender at a place called Molino Rojo here in Tijuana.
Tijuana's Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge, yes. And the place was a very luxurious place, but it was also a prostitution venue, right?
Yeah.
The most important venue, or the Zona Roja, habilitated red zone of Tijuana.
Which had its heyday in during the Prohibition.
The 1920s, and the place survived through the 30s. Until the first years of the 1940s.
Yeah, so for the folks who don't understand, who don't know this about Tijuana, is that Tijuana was very prominent destination
for entertainment, for many experiences, gastronomy, music, for the jazz musicians. For example, the black jazz musicians of America from New Orleans came to Chicago, to Los Angeles, and they started hearing that in Tijuana there was a black owners of places. And they started coming to Tijuana and playing here in Tijuana until the same government, the United States government, talked or recognized Mexico in the Tratados de Bucareli and started treating this situation and put a finish to the migration of black musicians to Tijuana. But they left the tradition of jazz music for the Mexican musicians also.
Okay.
Many Mexican musicians learned from the black musicians
that
came.
Yeah. So Tijuana was very prominent, and so there was a lot of nightlife here. And so the Camacho couple, Aurelio Camacho was a member of the syndicate?
Yeah, a member of the syndicate, a bartender. And in the 1940s, after the killing of the Olga Camacho, the rape of the Olga Camacho, in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, even 70s, the Camacho family was very prominent. Very, very prominent. They were proprietors of many nightclubs in Revolution Avenue. They were like the most important nightclub owners. Their lives changed a lot from 1938 to 1940. 41, 42, 43. Gotcha. They started opening many places. Even one of the places, Sanssouci, was in co-partnership with Soyo Sujara, who was the owner, the earlier owner of Molino Rojo. Okay. So Aurelio Camacho worked for Soyo Sujara previously.
All right.
A Japanese citizen. Yeah.
So what happens then? What was going? So there was it was a bit. So he was there in Tijuana's biggest day. What happens in those years that led to the killing of Juan Castillo Morales, and how were the Camachos involved, aside from the fact that he was the parents of little Olga?
Well, a lot of changed in the 1930s in Tijuana. Well, first, you had the depression, the economical depression in the 1930s. Most of the tourism that characterized the 1920s left Tijuana. No more tourism since 1933, 34, and driving it to a bigger problem. The president of Mexico, General Lázaro Cárdenas, prohibited gambling in all of Mexico. So if many people didn't came to Tijuana, and also the dry law ended in 1933 also. So in the U.S. you could drink and produce and everything.
Back again.
Beer again and many other drinks.
So there was a lifting of the
changed.
Yeah, so
the lifting of the dry law.
Lifting of the dry laws and the expropriation, and then the prohibition of gambling.
And then the expropriation of Casino Agua Caliente, December 1937, like a month and a half from the killing of the girl.
So there was like this perfect storm of social unrest.
Yes, a perfect storm of social unrest, and many people lost their jobs, and there was no the economy failed, and most people were very angry with the government, primarily the workers, because a lot of the old owners, the migrants from other places, the U.S. and many other places of Europe, of the East Europe and many other places, left Tijuana with the end of dry law in the U.S. And then with the end of gambling also, like Cesar Cardini left in 1936. Cesar Cardini, the owner of Caesar's Place and the creator of this Caesar salad here in Tijuana, left in July 1936. And everything started to fail. Economically, socially, and it was a very, very difficult moment for the people of Tijuana, and it was like the perfect moment for just exploding and the people started acting very, very with a lot of violence after the killing of the girl.
So we have pictures here of riots, basically.
Yeah.
Riots in the 1930s, and we had
1938 with the killing of the girl in February February 13th, 1938, when she was killed, and then found like a day after that, the 14th. The people started moving in the city, like in a mob. A congregation of 1,500, like 1,500 people starting moving and protesting and searching for the killer. And they started burning at least two buildings, two public buildings, the municipal government building and the prison and the fort, the military fort. The three places were burned, and they headed to the house, the military house of the second military zone, but the soldiers stopped the people and they told them that the killer was already in custody of the military general and all of the entourage.
So to maybe quell or calm down this mob that was burning everything,
let's kill him.
They said, let's get it
on with it.
So they court-martialed him and they basically executed him.
Yeah.
To avoid
probably to avoid that, or probably if we can analyze why Juan Castillo Morales transformed into a legend or a saint for some people, a martyr for some people. If we can analyze that as un discurso alterno, an alternate discourse of the history of the city, of the moment, we can see that the people that started doing that knew, or when their questions were answered, knew that maybe Juan Castillo Morales wasn't the only or the killer.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. If I was the military chief and I see people burning down everything because of this crime, I mean, I would make the same. I think I would make the same decision.
The same people that told that Juan Castillo Morales was a saint because he was innocent. They started saying that the nephew of the general that was in charge of the second military zone was involved, or was the real killer of the girl. Oh. So
so Juan Soldado is the fall guy, basically. In that story, that version
of the story. Yeah.
I had a conversation with some family members of the little Olga descendants, and they're pretty stuck with the traditional.
Because the legal papers say he was the killer. But you have a third version of the story through Fausto Matus that says, well, he was one of the perpetrators. Yeah. There were other people, and all of them
which
did it.
Coincides with Vanderwood, right?
Vanderwood.
Vanderwood talked about a lot of elements that the police, the San Diego police, that came to Tijuana to help with searching for evidence.
Yeah, for the evidence.
Searching for evidence, and they found huellas dactilares.
The fingerprints.
The fingerprints of people. They found the fingerprints of Juan Castillo Morales, but also they found in the hand of the girl red hair. And that doesn't coincide with the physiology of Juan Castillo Morales. So that is
he was of dark complexion, right?
Yeah, dark complexion. The hair, dark hair. He was from Oaxaca, from a Oaxaca family, and well,
Yeah.
that leaves us with an open analysis of what happened really in those days in the month of February in 1938 here in Tijuana, and he was one of the first guys that Vanderwood was one of the first historical investigators that focused on this case professionally with evidence.
And can you tell us about what are some of the findings that you got?
Well, right now I found through the conversations that I had with Fausto Matus, that I already told the story of his father involved in the events of 1938. I found, or I had a new interest in researching the case of Juan Soldado, and I started investigating using the new technologies that Vanderwood didn't have in his times when he did the book, and I found the birth certificate of Juan Castillo Morales. It is dated the 8th of March 1912. So Vanderwood was like a couple of years behind. Yeah. He says that Juan Castillo Morales was 24. Well, he was 26, and he says he was from Ixtaltepec. He helped me a lot, because when I started investigating the father of Fausto Matus, I found out that his father was from the same town, Ixtaltepec, Juchitán, Oaxaca. So they were from the same little town in Oaxaca, from the same year. They came here probably at the same time. Being from the same regiment,
the same platoon.
From Oaxaca. So it is very probable that they knew each other since Oaxaca.
And so on his deathbed, he told his son, and his son told you that there was more people involved in that crime.
Yes, on his. Like in the last years of his life, he talked with his son, Fausto, and told him that don't tell anyone this story, because there could be problems. There could be a lot of problems.
So in your...
That was in 1970, I think, 1970, 72, when he talked with his son about that.
So it was, he said that the suspicion that you would get is that there were high-ranking officials involved in this crime, and it's some sort of cover-up.
Well, you have the Soldado Raso.
The first mate.
Like very, very low military privates. Military privates. Both of them were privates only. And when you have someone with a higher rank tell you have to do this, you do it. And that's very logical, because there were revolutionaries. There were revolutionary military people, and they, in the revolution, Mexican Revolution, everything happened. This kind of thing happened.
That's very common.
Rapes, killings, everything, because you have to demoralize the enemy. And it's in part, Pancho Villa did that, like a tactic, military strategy.
Yeah.
He led his followers.
They'll do what they want.
Yeah, do what they want. So this is part of that story also, the revolutionary. These were the last years of the revolutionary movements in Mexico.
So your findings validates such sort of the...
Well, we are nearer to validate, at least the story of Juan Castillo Morales. At least we're finding documents, because we didn't have the birth certificate of Juan Castillo Morales. With the birth certificate, we can know who was his father, what did his father and his family did in Oaxaca, and maybe trace his history in the military. Okay, because of the date of birth and everything, you have a lot of more access to new documents to understand who was Juan Castillo Morales, and that is what I explained earlier. We have to set aside some of our moral preoccupations and try to analyze objectively the protagonist. The historical protagonists.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
I'm traumatized.
Yeah, I mean, it's a horrible crime.
Yes.
That
Totally.
happened that pretty much shaped the history of Tijuana.
Yes.
And the folklore and everything. And so a way to understand the story of the city is to understand this story. Mm-hmm. And thank you very much, Randall, for contextualizing everything that was happening around and clarifying this weird chapter that led to the stories that we know.
Just let me tell you that there was a change in politics in Mexico in those exact months, in that exact year, 1938.
Okay.
There was a big change. So the military people that came to Tijuana in last months of 1937 were from a different group, a new group that was projecting to have government in the 1940s. We already knew, or the government already knew who was the successor of Lázaro Cárdenas in 1938. Mm-hmm. It was for the PRN
back then.
Back then, political party. It was Manuel Ávila Camacho, the Secretary of Defense, and he was like a very conservative character in Mexican history, very conservative. He even said publicly, "I believe in God." So very different from Lázaro Cárdenas,
who were more like communist, basically,
like
or
more
leftist
policies and educational policies and everything. Okay, but in 1937 and 1938, everything changed. So the characters, the protagonists, military protagonists that are coming to Tijuana in those days were from the next generation of political establishment, of the political establishment.
So you had different factions vying for power.
Different factions.
Just competing for power.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Again, Fernando, thank you very much. Natalie, what do you remember about his office?
It was horrible. No, just kidding. It was located behind the famous Caesar's restaurant on Avenida Revolucion. And I had nightmares because when you first went up the stairs of the house, there was a bloody Jesus Christ with a red robe inside like a glass, like a box of glass. Was it like a box of glass? How would you call that?
It's one of those relics or type of relics kind of situations in which you have like these old depictions or statues of religious figures, and they're pretty dramatically sculpted.
From my perspective, that was quite terrifying.
That when I was growing, I grew up Catholic, and when I was growing up, that stuff creeped me out. Like, you know, with the Jesus crying, the statue angels looking at you.
Yeah,
I remember in my grandma had a couple of those pictures in her in her house, and when I was like 8 years old, 10 years old, I remember going to the bathroom at night, just not staring at those pictures because they creeped me out.
They're freaking creepy.
So it's Jesus, who's supposed to be this loving figure. You see him in that picture, and like that will definitely haunt me.
How old was the house? I can remember.
So the house was about. So it was part of the Hotel Caesar's restaurant, because it's attached to that structure. Mm-hmm. And so I think it might be as old as the restaurant itself. He mentioned there were some remodelings after the interview, but it's pretty old. I mean, the cabinets were old. The staircase looked old. And yeah, it had different depictions of the city, old pictures, just different statues, different art. And so, yeah, it was pretty creepy.
KPBS On Demand is supported by Paint Care, offering households and businesses in California more than 800 leftover paint drop-off sites for recycling. Quantities of 100-plus gallons of paint may qualify for a large volume pickup. Learn more at paintcare.org.
You're listening to Port of Entry.
Okay, folks, welcome back. We just heard the interview with Fernando Escobedo. Do you guys want to hear my hot take?
How hot?
It's hot.
Fine, let's hear it.
All right. So there were key pieces of evidence that Fernando highlighted that he found in the forensics files that the FBI said. And there was another testimony that he shared in this conversation, the man named Matus, that kind of is as revealing and changes the whole story. So before he stepped down as director of Tijuana, Museum of Tijuana in history, an old man approached him, a man by the name of Fausto Matus. This gentleman's father was supposedly there when the crime took place. He was an eyewitness to the crime. And before he died, he said Juan Castillo Morales wasn't the only one. So he waited with the secret till the very end.
Sounds like this man's grandpa has some dirty laundry in his closet.
He did, and he aired it right before he croaked.
Yeah,
He shared it. Yep.
But he didn't actually say it was him. Like he just said he wasn't alone. But it seems like there's something shady going on there.
No,
Yeah.
he said it was him, not only him. So he's also acknowledging that Juan Castillo was part of the act.
Right.
Okay.
But he's not. I'm saying he's not admitting that he himself, that grandfather, was involved in the crime.
I mean, by all we know, he could have. But we don't know that.
I mean, he did hold the secret until he was about to die.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah. But anyways, that's according to Fernando, is that he approached him with that secret, and it coincides with the mention of the hair. Remember when I told you to keep a note of an evidence?
The red hair.
The red hair. Juan Soldado is of dark complexion. He's not of red hair. The story only accuses him. So it might be that Juan Soldado was forced to be there and forced to interact by the reports of his wife of how he got there to his house, like drunk and lost and completely covered in blood. So he might have been the fall guy because the reddish hair, I'm not sure if it was pubic hair or it was any sort of hair, but it was found on the little girl's body. It shows that it was more than one person involved. So when Fernando heard this, he was taking it back on, what do you mean? How do I know you're real? So Fernando took the birth certificate of Matus's father and he verified it. Turns out that Juan Castillo Morales and the father of Matus came from the same town in Oaxaca. They were part of the same platoon. They were the same age. So they knew each other, or most likely did.
You still have to be pretty messed up to follow those orders.
It was 1930s.
Unless they're like threatening
Tijuana.
your family or your life, like even if your higher up tells you to do something like that, it's like, nah, dog, I'm good.
I mean, it is the military.
Sure.
And
Still.
so you have to follow orders. And it's hard to, dereliction of duty, I'm not quite sure how that applies, but...
Still, I wouldn't say that he's innocent.
I wouldn't say he's innocent.
I wouldn't
completely.
say that he's guilty either, but yeah.
Did he really do it willingly? Why do I say this? As we were wrapping up this episode, Fernando shared more information about the Camachos. They were pretty involved in the bootlegging industry and the brothel industry. When you're in that sort of red light business, you're in the shady side of town, so to speak.
Yeah, it's easy to become a target.
A target for, usually these are underground operations because of the nature of these things. Tijuana was going through a period of unrest. in that time. And little Olga's father was a prominent person. He had shops in Avenida Revolucion. He was a labor organizer for the Bartenders Union. So he was an activist, kind of. So naturally, you're going to make a lot of enemies. Mm-hmm. And so it's possible that what happened with little Olga was a mafia hit to silence the Camachos or to hurt the Camachos because, as we heard in the interview with Fernando, they were growing in power. And after the child passed, after she was killed, they grew in prominence over the years. Mm. And so it doesn't make sense in the way that this child was murdered and assaulted because it seems like it sparks terror when you hear something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes more sense that it would be something mafia related or just more than just a random act by a soldier. It does feel like it would be something like they really were trying to drive a message home.
Yeah. And so what I'm suspecting is that maybe Juan Soldado really is innocent and that he was forced to commit the act. Natalie, you're looking at me like you don't think so.
I mean, even if he was forced, I wouldn't say that he's innocent.
Yeah. But if you did...
what's the worst that can happen? I mean, they could threaten his family or his life.
Yeah.
But it's still, like, you're still...
He was the lowest of the lowest rank when it comes to, like, the military. Like, Soldado Raso...
He was following orders.
Yeah, he was the potato peeler, in a sense. Soldado Raso is, like, the lowest of the lowest rank. So he was... You really have no way or to say. And, like, Fernando mentions in an interview, is, like, that was happening... At the time, it was the Pancho Villa days, and Pancho Villa was doing that stuff all over. He was raiding ranches and raiding towns. So these were common practices.
Yeah, sure.
But then you ask, why an 8-year-old girl? Why? So given the involvement of the Camachos in the community, how they were prominent businessmen, and they were involved in this pretty much just the shady practices of prostitution, and they were part of the brothel circuit and their smuggling. I mean, they were part of the underworld. So it sounds to me like this was a mafia hit at the expense of an innocent girl. And that was my hot take.
Wow. I'm traumatized once again.
Sorry, Nat. Alan?
I suggested to go trick-or-treating instead of doing this episode, but no one listened to me.
Yeah, that would have been way more fun. Could be eating candy right now.
Let's go eat candy. All right. Adrian, any hot takes?
This was a very interesting story. I mean, your hot take was very hot.
Folks, that's all we have. And if you find this story interesting, we will leave some links for you to delve into more, research more, and maybe come to your own conclusion. Or maybe if you have more information, you can solve this crime. As things stand, we don't know. But that's it for today, for this Halloween special. I'm Julio Ortiz.
I'm Natalia Gonzalez.
I'm Alan Lilienthal.
I'm Adrian Villalobos.
Happy Halloween, and nos vemos
pronto.
This episode was written and produced by Julio Cesar Ortiz Franco.
Adrian Villalobos is technical producer and sound designer. This episode was edited by Chrissy Wynn.
Lisa Jane Morissette is director of audio programming and operations.
Happy Halloween!
KPBS On Demand is supported by UC San Diego's Art Power, presenting New York Times food reporter Priya Krishna on November 6th at UC San Diego. Tickets at artpower.ucsd.edu.